Okay, so as we begin our discussion on supervisory rules and responsibilities, it is important to understand that supervision is a critical link between organizational leadership and frontline operations in public administration. Supervisors translate policies into action, ensure that the standards are followed, and guide employees toward achieving institutional goals. In the public sector, supervisory rules carry added responsibility because decisions and actions directly affect service delivery, public trust, and the efficient use of government resources. This topic highlights that effective supervision is not merely about authority, but about responsibility, accountability, and leadership in everyday practice. This discussion is particularly relevant as many of your currently serve or will soon serve in supervisory positions. Understanding supervisory rules involves recognizing how to balance administrative tasks with people management, ethical judgment, and personal or performance oversight. Supervisors must motivate teams address performance issues fairly and uphold organizational values while navigating bureaucratic constraint. With this context established, I now invite the presenter to discuss the specific rules, functions, and responsibilities of supervisors in public administration. Go ahead po.
Thank you po, Doc. Pasensya po sa pag-antay. Good morning po sa lahat. Liza Armacion, presenting on Introduction to Supervisory Roles and Responsibilities. As part of our MPA class, I know a lot of us are already working in government agencies. Some are supervisors or officers in charge, and others are here to level up for promotions. This topic hits home because it's all about stepping up in our roles. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Let's talk about what we'll get from this course. First, we'll cover the basics of being a supervisor, managing daily tasks, supporting the team, and keeping communication clear. These are the core things that keep working running smoothly. Next, we'll build leadership skills like delegating work, handling conflicts fairly, and checking performance so everyone knows how they're doing. Third one is we'll also talk about real challenges supervisors face, like dealing with different personalities, resolving conflicts, and balancing many priorities at once. For those moving from doing individual work to leading others, we'll focus on that mindset shift, learning how to guide and support a team instead of doing everything yourself. Finally, we'll highlight why continuous learning matters, especially in government work where changes happen often and supervisors need to stay updated and adaptable. Next slide. So what is Supervisor. First, supervisors link management and frontline staff. In government, we're basically the bridge between the bosses at the top and the people doing the daily work. Supervisors pass information both ways and make sure everyone's on the same page. Second, main duties. They organize the work, set clear goals, and make sure tasks are done on time. It's about guiding the team, giving feedback, and helping everyone succeed. Third, the skills needed. Good communication is key to avoid mix-ups and build trust. And also making decisions, following rules and policies, and handles performance checks. Lastly, the challenges. Managing people isn't always easy. Dealing with conflicts, different personalities, and staying fair and ethical can be tough, especially in public service, but it's part of the job. Next, and now let's talk about how to manage change at work. Something we all deal with in government, whether it's a new policy, a new system, or new technology. One helpful way to think about change is with these three tools: the skills, systems, and culture. When these three work together, that's where success happens. Skills are what we know and can do. That's the training and experience. The systems. how our agency works. That's the process, rules, and tools we use. Culture, how we work together. That are shared values, attitudes, and habits. Now, when change comes, it's important to understand three roles we all have. First is the authority. This means knowing the decisions you can make on your own, like assigning tasks or adjusting how team works, and when you need to involve others or get approval. Second is the influence. Even when you don't have full control, you still have a choice. You can share ideas, provide data, ask good questions, and help shape decision in a positive way. Third is concern. These are areas where we're limited, like big decisions made by higher leadership. When that happens, we speak up respectfully, share our concerns, and then focus on what we can control within our role. Next slide. Thank you. Building on that, let's talk about supervisor's role in the organization. First, supervisors direct and guide the team, so work gets done. They assign tasks, balance workloads, and help meet goals. They also support our staff. They also support staff. That means providing training, giving clear feedback, and helping employees grow in their careers. Another key role is to communicate clearly and advocate for the team. Explain expectations, listen to concerns, and speak up for the staff when resources or support are needed. Supervisors create a positive and ethical work environment, set the tone for respect, fairness, and professionalism, and address issues early. Finally, lead using strong skills like making good decisions and handling conflict in calm, fair way. For current supervisors, this is everyday work. For others, it's great preparation for moving into a leadership role. Next. Thank you. And now let's break down the key responsibilities of a supervisor. There are four main ones: the planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. First is planning. This is about setting goals, spotting challenges, and creating a clear plan. It helps to know where we're going and avoid problems before it happens. Another key responsibility is organizing. This means arranging people, resources, and processes so works flow smoothly. Everyone knows their role, and time and effort aren't wasted. Then there's come directing. This is where leadership really shows up. They give clear direction, motivate team, and keep everyone focused on the goal. Then, lastly, there's controlling. This means checking progress, comparing results to goals, and making adjustments when needed. It helps stay on track and respond to changes. When supervisors do all these four well, the works get done efficiently, and the team stay focused and motivated. Next. Now let's talk about transitioning to a supervisor. The biggest change is a shift in focus. Moving from just doing your own work to leading others and thinking about the whole team. That shift also means learning new skills, like delegating work, coaching employees, and handling conflict in a fair way. You're no longer doing everything yourself. You're helping others succeed. Then there's also challenges, especially changing relationship. Former peers may now report to you, so building trust and credibility is important. A few tips can make this transition smoother. Seek out training, communicate openly, and prioritize your well-being. Leading others takes energy, and taking care of yourself helps you lead better. If you're already in this role, you know the adjustment is real. If you're aiming for promotion, this is your roadmap. Next. And last, To wrap things up, supervisor are a vital link in government or other companies, agencies. They help turn policies and plans into real results, but keep agencies running smoothly. We talk about the core skills every supervisor needs: the planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. This helps set goals, use resources wisely, lead our teams, and stay on track. We also discussed the importance of embracing change and continuous learning. In work keeps evolving and strong supervisors stay flexible and open to learning. And finally, we covered how to transition thoughtfully into supervision in understanding the shift, building new skills, and leading with care. If you're already supervising, use this to sharpen your approach. If you're preparing for the next step, this gives you a strong foundation. That's all, and thank you for listening.
Okay, supervisory rules in public administration involve again planning, organizing, directing, and controlling work to ensure that organizational objectives are met. So, let's say for example, no, a unit supervisor in local government office may assign tasks, no, monitor progress, and provide guidance to staff handling public service requests. Effective supervision ensures that policies are implemented consistently and that employees understand their responsibilities and performance expectation. Supervisors also play a vital role, no, in employee development and workplace discipline. A supervisor who provides regular feedback, coaching, and fair performance evaluation helps. Take note ha, fair performance evaluation helps employees improve skills and maintain professional standards. In practice, no, addressing attendance issues or work quality concerns through clear communication and due process promotes fairness and maintains morale within the organization. Finally, supervisory responsibility includes ethical leadership and accountability. Supervisor are often the first point of contract or first point of contact uh, for ethical concern, grievances, and operational problems. For MPA student, this topic reinforces an essential principle that effective supervision in public administration requires not only managerial competence, but also integrity, empathy, and a strong commitment to public service values. I just want to give a case scenario, no? Let's say, kasi most commonly sa exam, sa comprehensive exam, ganito case scenario. Let's say, for example, a new supervisor struggling with authority and self-mastery. So, what will be the situation? No? A newly promoted supervisor in a provincial government office is tasked with managing former peers. No? While technically competent, the supervisor struggles with assertiveness, emotional regulations, and decision-making under pressure. So, the staff members begin bypassing the supervisor, deadlines are missed, and morale declines. So, the supervisor experiences stress and self-doubt, leading to inconsistent leadership behavior. So, what will be the issues of concern? No? Lack of self-mastery and self-confidence in a supervisory role, difficulty transitioning from peer to supervisor, poor stress management affecting leadership credibility, and weak enforcement of rules and responsibility. So what will be the possible solution? You need to engage in reflective leadership practices such as journaling and mentoring to strengthen self-awareness. No? You may participate in supervisory leadership training focusing on boundary setting and decision making. You may apply stress management techniques, time management, delegation, mindfulness to improve composure. And lastly, clearly communicate expectation and authority while maintaining professionalism and empathy. Case scenario number 2, no? Managing diversity and inclusion in multicultural public office situation or public office. So what will be the situation or the example? Let's say, a city social services department employs staff from different cultural, religious, and generational background. So complaints arise that some voices are consistently overlooked during meetings and certain communities feel underserved by programs. Tensions increase due to misunderstanding and perceived favoritism affecting service delivery. So what will be the issue? Number one, lack of inclusive leadership practices. Number two, unequal participation and representation in decision making. Number three, cultural misunderstanding affecting teamwork. Number four, erosion of trust among employees and the community stakeholders. So what will be the possible solution? Implement inclusive supervisory practices such as structured meetings where all voices are heard. Conduct DEI training to increase cultural competence and awareness. Apply an equity based approach in program planning to address underserved groups, and encourage open dialogue and feedback mechanism to strengthen inclusion and trust. Okay? Another case scenario, let's say leadership resilience during a public sector crisis situation. A municipal disaster response team faces prolonged pressure following repeated flooding incidents. So the department head experiences burnout, staff absenteeism rises, and decision-making becomes reactive. So the public citizens, the public criticize the agency for slow responses, further increasing stress within the organization. So the issues here or concerns are lack of leadership, resilience, and well-being focus, high stress leading to burnout and reduced performance, reactive rather than proactive leadership, and declining public trust and staff morale. So as a manager, as a supervisor, what will be the possible solution? Practice resilient leadership by prioritizing leader and staff well-being. Introduce proactive planning, including contingency staffing and workload rotation. Provide access to wellness programs and psychological support, and strengthening communication and transparency to rebuild confidence. This case illustrates that effective public administration leadership is deeply human. It involves self-awareness, resilience, inclusivity, and responsible supervision. Technical knowledge alone is insufficient, but leaders must continuously develop themselves while ethically and inclusively leading others. Okay? So thank you so much and congratulations to our presenter.